Hey guys, my name is Bree and welcome to my book talk. Today I'm going to be discussing a book that I read a while back and I loved this book so much, and it is the second book in the Darkest Minds series. It is Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. So I want to go ahead and dive right into this book, but if you haven't read The Darkest Minds and you want to read it, I have a book talk that I will be leaving in the description box below that I've made for the first book, which is The Darkest Minds. And if you haven't read this book yet but want to know more about the series, go check out that book talk, because I'm not really going to go over a bunch of this book because there's way too many spoilers that I could say like on accident, and I don't want to spoil you guys. So non-spoilery people, just go watch my book talk on the first Darkest Minds book and come back when you're done reading this book, because oh my gosh, we're going to discuss the crap out of this book. This book was great. So bye non-spoilery people, bye. Okay, so this book, holy crap. I read this over the summer and I realized that it is currently the middle of November and I haven't made a book talk over this, and I'm so sorry for that. I feel ashamed myself because this book deserves, like, this series is so underrated. I mean, I can't even describe how underrated this series is because it is so good. And I know that it's also because it's a couple years old, but like, oh my gosh. So Miss Bracken goes and, you know, destroys all of us at the end of the first book with, you know, Ruby erases Liam's memory, and we all have had to have that experience of emotional breakdown. May or may not have just chucked the book across the room and screamed whenever that happened. But anyway, so we get into Never Fade, and I'm reading it and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we have to fix the thing with Liam. Liam has to come back. Liam's going to come back. And he does, but not until way late. Way later than I actually wanted it to have happened. We open up the book with, they're in this op, right? And there's Vita and Ruby, and they're taking care of their op. And Vita's sass level is something that I just cannot compute with. I'm sorry, I didn't realize your recipe called for so much salt. She is like the sass queen. She's a bab, a B-A-B. And I loved Vita so much. Even from the very beginning, I was like, you know what? She's one of those characters that's gonna be like super awful mean in the beginning and then turn around and be like, oh yeah, I'm super cool, like what now? And like Chubbs and Vita's bantering throughout the whole book is just great. Well, I say throughout the whole book, whenever they meet, and then for the rest of the book, specifically when Chubbs comes back and is like, thinks it's Lee, and then Chubbs is like, who the hell are you? And Vita goes, not the one who brought a knife to a gunfight. And when they're on that op, they're going and rescuing this agent, and that's like their whole mission, right? And then Ruby goes up and she sees this person, and he's got a bag over his head, and I'm sitting there thinking, please be Liam, please be Liam, please be Liam, please be Liam, please be Liam. And it wasn't Liam. It was Cole, Liam's brother. And I didn't really like Cole at first because I thought he was like, just like Liam, but with all the bad things. All the bad things that Liam doesn't have is Cole. I don't know. I just like, you know, you get those feelings about people, like first impressions. Is like he had a very bad first impression on me as a reader. And then we find out that Cole is a red, that he's one of the Psy children. But that doesn't make like any sense to me, or it didn't when I was reading, because it's, you know, only kids that were like 10, 11, 12 years old were affected by the disease. But Cole's like an adult, and when he just like turned the match on, like lit it on fire, I was like, okay, so you're a red now? Okay, that's cool. And we get to the house when it's raining, and Ruby gets to the house and she sees somebody come out of the house and she thinks it's Liam, and she starts running. But it wasn't Liam, but it was Chubbs. And that is okay. That was okay with me. I was so happy because Chubbs, I loved Chubbs so much. And then we go to, like, you know, fake East River, and you got this nasty, grungy, grody, gross kid, Knox. He's a big old douchebag, and he's stealing everybody's jackets, and it's like freezing outside, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm the slip kid. And I'm like, what? No, and you're a blue, so like, you know, it's not like Ruby could like melt your brain or anything. The tent of infected people. We find Liam. We found Liam. Oh my gosh. happy day. And then Ruby's like, okay, everyone's here, we're fine, we're getting out tonight. And then, so Ruby and Vita go up to Nox and try to manipulate their way out, and Ruby's like, oh, well, all of that stuff that was in our packs, all of the food and water and band-aids and matches and blah, 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 was just like a part of what we could have got, and I could take you back to our base in order for me to come with you. As long as I can come with you, then you'll get all this stuff. And basically that's like her deviated plan to like get everybody out. And then of course, Vita, being the little sassy ass that she is, goes and sits in Nox's chair, in his little like throne, if you will. Ruby even comments, it was clear that this guy had never been talked to this way. And they're thinking, ooh snap, the girl's got it going on. And then, right before Nox is like about to agree, I'm thinking, oh man, Ruby's got this in the bag. And then Ruby's like, shake on it. And Nox goes and puts the cigarette and burns it out in the palm of her hand. Like, oh, that was not okay. I hate that kid so much. Like, Then you got Vita and Ruby go into this ring because they have to fight it out. But then, of course, they don't actually have to fight it out. They have to fight this crazed Red whose name is Mason. So that happens. And then Nox ends up shooting Mason. And Ruby is like, oh, hell no. And brings Nox down and, like, confesses to everyone that he's not the slip kid. So that was fake East River. So they all get out. And they all go and they're, like, going to the gas station and stuff and getting supplies and stuff. And, like, Liam and Ruby are constantly talking and trying to work things out with each other, and it's not working. I'm sitting there thinking, you have to be together. Why can't you just get over it? And they weren't doing it. They weren't getting back together yet, and I just kept looking at my book, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, they've got like this much left, this much of the book left. It's okay, they're gonna get back together, it'll be fine. But they didn't get back together yet, so I'm like, and then you get to that point where, like, apparently Ruby has wiped Liam's memory clean entirely, right? But then you get that point where Liam and Chubbs and Ruby are all arguing, and then Ruby tries to pitch in, and Liam goes, shut up, Green! And then they're all like, Green, you remembered what you called me? And he's like, no, why would I ever call you that? Like, I know what you are. So it's like that little sliver of hope that Liam remembers is like planted in my brain, and I'm like, okay, he kind of remembers, it's gonna be okay. And then freaking Clancy is at the Dairy Queen. I mean, when is this kid gonna die? Can he just die already, please? Can he not be in the story anymore? He's a big problem, and Ruby knows this, but she takes him as an asset to go back to headquarters, and it's just like, why didn't you shoot him? You had the opportunity to, you should have just killed him. Then we come to realize that it was Clancy's mom who like came up with the cure, so I guess it's kind of a good thing we didn't shoot him. But I still want him dead. So all of this stuff's going down, and we've got Clancy in the background just like trying to get into HQ to burn these stupid files with all the research for the disease that all the kids are infected with. But Clancy's like, oh no, I'm just gonna be a big bitch and burn all of the research because like who wants the cure? What? Stupid. They get back to HQ, and like then they're all in these bunkers and they're like apparently safe and everything. And then there's this broadcast on TV where it shows the president is walking up, and then the president kind of gets shot. Like, that was total, like, almost like a plot twist. I don't really think the president's dead. I feel like, you know, if you're the president, you probably have some sort of like, I don't know, bulletproof vest on at like all times. So I kind of feel like the president's still alive, and he kind of set that whole diversion up so it would look like he was dead, so he would see if there was an uprising. Oh, and it wasn't until this point in the book, like the last maybe 15, 20, 30 pages of the book, where I realized that Judith's compass, poor little puppy Jude, his compass is his necklace, and it's on the cover of the book. So clearly that's going to have some significance, but I didn't realize that until the end of the book when all of the stuff went down and they were being bombed at HQ and everyone had to get out. That whole scene was just like, I was on the edge of my seat, like my heart was hammering so hard in my chest, like I was terrified the entire time. And as the whole place is getting bombed, you know, you've got everyone trying to run out, and Ruby can't find anybody. She's just getting out, and like Cole and Liam and Chubbs are with her. And then as everyone's out, this plane flies overhead and people are freaking out like, oh my god, this plane, and it drops a whole bunch of flyers that are basically blaming the League for everything that has happened. And in the midst of all this, Ruby turns around and sees a kid that she thinks is Jude, but it's not Jude. So she starts freaking out, which means I start freaking out. And then we find that poor little Judith is dead. Why? Little small cinnamon roll of a character you had to kill. Why would you do that, Alexandra Bracken? Why would you terrorize my heart with this horrible, horrible event? And then of course Clancy comes back with, oh, you'll never find a cure for the disease because I burned all the research, blah blah blah. And then Ruby comes back with, oh wait, you mean this research? And like pulls it out like a boss because she manipulated him into thinking he actually burned it when he did it, and he was like, oh snap, she like got past my walls that I trained her not to break into. Can Clancy just die, please? Like, I feel like he's a problem child. He's really just a problem child. And it's one of those things where, like, you know, the book is so good with Clancy, but I feel like all of the readers would be at ease and kind of do a unanimous cheer if Clancy was killed off. Overall, I loved this book so much. There was so much action. It was intense. It was riveting. I loved how Liam and Ruby, they kind of fixed their issues, but not really. So I'm really hoping that in the third book, they fix their romantic and friendly issues. I hope that, you know, I hope that Clancy dies. Clancy has to die. I mean, if Clancy doesn't die, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself, because there's only one more book. I'm not really, you know, I don't really have any feelings for Kate right now, because, you know, she just kind of disappeared, and that one part she's like, oh, I'm gonna go get transportation, and then she like didn't come back. So I want to find out what happened to Kate, but I never really trusted her in the first place. I don't know, it was just like, you know, that same thing I was talking about earlier with the whole first impression thing. You know, Kate just kind of didn't sit well with me for some reason. I don't really know, but I want to know what happened to her. I want to know where Kate went. We have to see SOOO again in book 3 because I loved little SOOO and I hope she comes back. I really want to see, you know, how Liam and Cole, their bond is kind of sorted out in the next book. I would be interested to see how they kind of either dish it out with each other or make up, because, you know, they kind of had that rocky ending and like that backstory at one point. So I'm really hoping that gets resolved. Like, I'm seriously feeling like there's gonna be some badassery in the third book, and I cannot wait for that book. I mean, just give it to me. Just give it to me now. I'm ready. I'm ready, Alexandra. Let's go. So thank you guys so much for watching. That is all that I have on Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more bookish videos. If you haven't read this series, go pick it up. It is so good. It's action-packed. There's romance. It's a great storyline. It's just, I love this series so much. It's a great series. Thank you guys again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!